Wade Wilson, or Deadpool, is one of those Marvel characters that toes the line between a hero and a villain, becoming the anti-hero we all love. But in the comic universe, there isn't just one Deadpool. There are many, and some of them are downright evil. In this video, we're ranking the evil alternate versions of Deadpool, ranked from the lamest to the coolest. First up, there's one called Headpool. Although the name is actually a bit funny when you think about it, the character is all kinds of scary, especially if you're not a fan of zombies. Deadpool is the zombie version of the regenerative degenerate, and he loves dining on human flesh. He also has the power to stay alive even if all his body parts are smashed to bits. But there's a catch. It seems he doesn't have the regenerative abilities that the original Wade Wilson does. But then, if we're going to stay true to zombie lore, we know that they can't regenerate, but they can stay alive unless someone chops their head off. Can't wait to see a Deadpool and All of Us Are Dead crossover. Right? Now, to think of which Marvel would take them all down. Up next is the DC version who goes by Red Tool. Now, Deadpool's original character is inspired by a character from the DC universe. The name of the character is Deathstroke, who made his debut in 1980 in the Teen Titans. So when Marvel came out with Deadpool, DC decided they would create their own similar character who went by the name Red Tool. Besides the rhyming name, he wasn't actually a copy of Wade Wilson, but some of his mannerisms and styling were similar to the Marvel character, especially his witty nature. As an accomplished supervillain, Red Tool fights only with a set of tools, and he basically enjoys destroying a human body to pieces. Charming. Coming up is the really small MODOK Deadpool. This one is a hybrid of MODOK and our main man today. Now, for those of us who don't know who or what MODOK is, it's an acronym for Mental Mobile Mechanized Organism Designed Only for Killing. The first MODOK was George Tarleton, an employee of Advanced Idea Mechanics, a company that makes futuristic weapons. He basically undergoes mutagenic medical experimentation, originally designed to increase his intelligence. And combined with Deadpool, he became Deadpool. This one combines the powers of both supervillains. So, we'd be pretty careful if we ever ran into him. But the catch is that since he's actually a machine, he cannot regenerate himself. He's a killing machine and pretty good at what he does. This one has got to be the smartest alternative version of Deadpool, even though he has a really small body. This doesn't really get in the way of his fighting skills. It may come as a surprise, but Deadpool is a beast of a fighter. Meanwhile, there's a dinosaur version too. Nope, we're not joking. We're dead serious about Dinosaur Deadpool, and he exists for real, in the comic book realm at least. Given how much of a crazy idea this is, it really wasn't used to its full potential. Also, considering that he was part of the arc which showcased the evil Deadpool Corps versus the Deadpool Corps, there's so much they could have done with the character. In case you're wondering what kind of dinosaur he was, a T-Rex of course. Honestly, no other dino would be able to match the destructive potential of Deadpool. The character has all the mutant abilities of Wade Wilson. Just imagine what this regenerating dinosaur would do with his incredible strength and agility. He'd be unstoppable. Let's look at the grotesque Cesspool. Not that we like to comment on or make judgments on anyone's appearance, even if they are terrible bad guys. But with a name like Cesspool, what can we expect? He might just be the ugliest looking alternate Deadpool in the Marvel Comics universe. Those are big words, but we think that evil Deadpool and Headpool might give him a run for his money in that contest. The Cesspool has this unique physical trait, where its body is made up of little mouths with razor-sharp teeth. No wonder he's so mean. Guy can't even get a hug when he's having a down day. Up next, Galactus and Deadpool combined to create Galactipool. Yup, this version of Deadpool is a hybrid of Galactus and Deadpool. Now just imagine the kind of strength he would have. Galactus is basically a cosmic being that consumes the energy found in planets for his sustenance, so we're talking about some serious firepower. This character not only has the mutant abilities of the main continuity Deadpool, but also has the power cosmic, which makes him pretty much unbreakable when it comes to any situation. Still, the original Deadpool was able to beat this absolute giant with the use of a ship. We wish that hadn't happened, because Galactipool had a lot of potential to go much bigger. This one would have been invincible, with superpowers of intergalactic proportions and the mutant powers of regeneration. Coming up is the closely named Deadpool. Deadpool, Dreadpool, what's the difference? Well, actually a big one. If anyone ever wanted to see a version of Wade Wilson who's lost all his brain cells and gone completely mad, then take a look at Deadpool. Actually, he wasn't always like this. To make use of Dread's mutant abilities for his own gain, a therapist called Benjamin Brighton tries to brainwash Wade Wilson, but the process goes horribly wrong and drives Deadpool insane. And we've seen enough supervillains to know that a crazy villain always causes more destruction than a sane one. But then again, are there any sane supervillains at all? Anyway, coming back to this alternate version of Deadpool, he then decided he wanted to kill every superhero in the Marvel Universe. Yikes. And because what was the reason? A voice in his head told him that this was just fiction. Well, that's not entirely untrue, so he just might be onto something. Meanwhile, there's one that's straight up evil Deadpool. This one, created by Dr. Ella Whitby, is a literal labor of love. She created this evil alternate version by physically joining together all the body parts Wade Wilson had lost throughout his life. Why is she doing this? Well, because no matter what the question, the answer is always love. But we digress. The reason why she collected these pieces is that she's obsessed with Deadpool. Did we mention that she was in love with him too? Evil Deadpool's superpowers are actually pretty similar to the main continuity Deadpool. He does have a very different look though. For starters, one of his arms is backward, and this actually turns out to be quite helpful in fights, surprisingly. Not to mention the time Deadpool met Wolverine. This one might be one of our favorite versions of Deadpool, mostly because Wolverine is our favorite mutant of all time. We also think that fans would be desperate to see this one on the big screen too. This alternate version is a hybrid between Wolverine and Deadpool. How cool is that? Marvel Comics decided to introduce Wolverine Pool, who not only has those adamantium claws, but he's also a very skilled fighter. He's got excellent marksmanship and martial arts on top of the unbreakable claws. But the character still manages to fall short of everyone's expectations, and that's because of his subpar regenerative powers. This only meant that he was pretty easy to get rid of. We're going to go a step ahead and say we'd be okay with a movie where the regenerative degenerate and Wolverine are the main events. It doesn't even have to be a hybrid. Oh, and we'd want Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds to reprise their roles too. Studios, are you listening? Meanwhile, we have the larger-than-life Venom Pool. This hybrid has got to be one of the strongest hybrid creatures in the Marvel Universe. He's possibly the most disgusting and evil form of Deadpool, Venom Pool. Wade Wilson only needed a symbiote to completely lose the plot as he roamed his universe looking for and killing all the superheroes he didn't find attractive. What even? Yes, that doesn't make any sense, but that's what makes him so purely evil. Venom Pool was first featured in one of the What If comics by Marvel. This comic book anthology explores how the Marvel Universe might have unfolded if some key elements in its history didn't happen as they did in the mainstream continuity. The series debuted in 1977, was published in 13, and had occasional standalone issues. And in case you were wondering, Venom Pool is pretty funny too. Lastly, let's look at some more versions of the character from the Marvel Universe. There are actually many more versions of the quick-talking character. So just how many Deadpools are there? Well, technically speaking, just one per universe. All the ones we've seen so far exist in alternate universes. Marvel once introduced a Golden Age version of Deadpool. It was a one-off parody issue that basically mocked Captain America's post-Civil War death and replacement. President Woodrow Wilson's cousin, Wheezy Wilson, became Deadpool after subjected him to tests in their Weapon X program. He wore a gas mask and, strangely enough, spoke in 90s slang. Another kind of Deadpool was the exact opposite of the one we know. In 2014, the Axis Event series turned the Marvel Universe around when an inversion spell accidentally affected many heroes and villains. Both the Avengers and X-Men became evil, and Deadpool changed from a chaotic agent of violence to a calm and enlightened pacifist. This new guy was termed Zenpool and refused to hurt anyone. And then, there was also a grittier, pulp version of Deadpool. This was introduced in 2010 as part of Marvel's Noir line of comics. This Deadpool didn't have the healing factor or agility, but he did have the signature recklessness and multiple personalities. He worked for the American government at the peak of the Cold War. He teamed up with Cable to stop a rogue American general from killing JFK. That's a wrap for this video. Who do you think is the coolest Deadpool? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.